This week we've been focusing on making huge updates to the kingdom area, so this being the adding new districts, adding buildings and much more. And it's been quite interesting so far, so let me just break down what we've been doing so far. So now that we've been getting the map together, I figured it was time to actually start making the districts and each of the districts. Now this was a little tricky at first because for reference there's going to be 7 districts each for each council member. You know, the Council of War, Coin, Faith and so on and so forth. And the tricky part was trying to make a image with AI that represented each district fairly well. It was trying to keep it to stick to the art style, but also to represent certain buildings, which I might then want to have in the actual game. For example, the Council of Crown, I wanted obviously the main sort of palace area, but I also wanted a arena and some other bits so that I can then put later on the actual icon of the arena on there so that eventually it's a function where I can go from the map, I can enter the council district, and then I can see the different buildings or areas within the district, and then I can go and visit each one. And so I was doing this for all 7 of the council members, which was a little time consuming, and also trying to figure out how I can get certain buildings to be relevant to each district. Now, one of the key things I want to try and do here to make the game interesting is I want each district to have their own unique buildings. Where, for example, in the Council of War, you might have the training grounds where you can better level up your stats. Whereas in the Crown Council, you have the arena where it's more of an opportunity for you to gain rewards at the risk of dying, and so on and so forth. Where traveling to each district should feel relevant, but also the idea is that when you are traveling from district to district, there should be chances for random encounters, and eventually what I do want to add is the possibility for random events and almost like little markers in the map to appear randomly where you can actually travel and perhaps free roam around the map. That's something I'd really quite like to do, and I do probably plan to do that next week. Because what I want to do is I really want to give off this idea that it is a bit of a kingdom that is going through some sort of amount of chaos. And you as the main character need to decide how you're going to use your time, what you're going to focus on, and where you need to go and what you need in order for you to effectively get a certain ending, whether that's you killing everyone, you sparing everyone, or somewhere in the middle. But the idea is that over time, the kingdom chaos and the kingdom stability should start dropping. And as the kingdom stability drops, over time, things get more difficult. Things ramp up, the random encounters, the enemies you face get more difficult, and so on and so forth. So where are we going into next week? So next week, I'm going to be focused on making sure that all the building functions are going to be starting to get made. So I'm going to create a separate script of code for each building, so that being the arena, that being the healing ward, and such. So that when you go to each area, you should be able to go and actually interact with that. And the idea I have is that each building and action will cost a certain amount of energy, where energy will be effectively the currency, where as energy is used, that's what progresses the day further. And then when you rest up, whether, depending on where you rest, depends on how much energy you'll recover, and that will move on to the next day. But it should feel like that you are, having to use every single day. There should be a level of urgency, but there should also be a level of freedom as to what you choose to do, who you choose to face, and such. So that's pretty much the update for this week. If you haven't played the game already, I do currently have a rush demo at the time of speaking, which you can go and play for free. The full game I plan to release by the end of December, so make sure you wishlist the game if you're interested and stay tuned for that. But hopefully you've enjoyed this, and I'll chat soon.